Hi, my name is Gori Olusina Daniel, and I'm the managing partner at AP3 Advisory Services. AP3 is a specialist Africa-focused PPP and infrastructure finance advisory firm with offices in the United Kingdom, Abuja, Lagos, and Durban. Our core mission is to deliver tailored PPP and infrastructure finance solutions that drive sustainable development and economic transformation across the continent. Over the past decade or so, we've supported DFIs, donor agencies, and public and private sector clients in over 7 countries across the continent, delivering policy development, transaction structuring, and implementation support. Our services are really focused on ensuring all our clients do are done in a way that delivers impact as well as value. Some of the notable projects that we have delivered recently is the support that we gave to the African Development Bank and the government of Nigeria in mobilizing the funding for these special agro-industrial projects under the UK NIAF, UK Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Program. We've also designed institutional frameworks for PPPs in Zimbabwe and Lesotho. Our commitments to our clients' success and their development is evident in the way that we approach things, with a clear focus on knowledge transfer and ensuring that we leave our clients with increased capacity and innovative results to support them in the delivery of their objectives and their capacity to carry on long after the project is finished. Yes, over the last 2 years, we've been working as part of the FCDO-funded high-volume transport applied research project to commission 2 leading research suppliers, WRI and SLOCAT, to explore how low and middle income countries can better access climate finance for sustainable transport projects. Now, this is important for all sorts of reasons. The transport sector accounts for a significant share of greenhouse gas emissions, but this continues to remain underfunded in low and middle income countries. The study analyzed 839 transport projects across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, resulting in about 14 in-depth case studies to identify actionable pathways for project sponsors in the pilot countries of Kenya, Vietnam, and India to secure financing needed for low carbon transport solutions. Now, in furtherance to this, we conducted stakeholder consultations in the pilot countries to explore barriers and innovative solutions for mobilizing climate finance. Thinking about the main takeaways, firstly, let's talk about the key deliverables. There were 4 key deliverables. One, a state of knowledge report, and this report outlined the emerging landscape for climate finance, particularly for transport, highlighting the risks, barriers, and the opportunities for not just the pilot countries that we're looking at, but lower middle income countries in its breadth. It also included actionable recommendations to improve the capacity to draw on existing and potential climate finance. We also produced a policy guide and toolkit, and the idea behind this was to provide a comprehensive resource that project sponsors in low and middle income countries can use to build up their capacity. A key element of this was the work that was done in outlining the Avoid, Shift, and Improvement framework that really broadened out the scope of what transport solutions are available for countries who are looking to reduce transport sector emissions. We also produced an academic research paper, and the idea of this was to ensure that academics and practitioners alike are able to draw on these insights and recommendations for years to come. And the 4th key deliverable was the Digital Climate Finance Toolkit, which is up and available on the HVTA website, and it's a tool that project sponsors from across the pilot countries, but more broadly in low and middle income countries, can use to build up their capacity. Now, in terms of the main takeaways, well, I think we looked at the barriers, the key barriers that low and middle income countries face of low institutional capacity, inadequate project preparation, and gaps in knowledge about available finance mechanisms, tools and frameworks that are available, technical assistance that's available. We looked at that. We also identified the enabling role of making sure that a robust policy and regulatory framework that prioritizes resources and funds, institutional readiness are in place. Capacity building, which is a key element of, which continues to be a key barrier, ensuring that there's access to the sort of training and resources that are available to build up the capacity of project sponsors in these countries. The fourth element is the importance of collaboration between the public and the private sectors, but also donor and DFI communities, and also the range of available solutions that can be scaled up. Now, when we think about COP29, I think the jury's out in terms of how the key announcements of the new quantified goal of 300 billion is, I think, from the developing nations point of view, countries, there's a sense that this is much lower than the 1.3 trillion that is required. Another perspective which perhaps we share is that despite these criticisms, a new concrete financial commitment provides a foundation for further enhancements and negotiations towards increasing the flow of finance. We're very excited, though, by the issuance of a $500 million climate bond from the climate investment funds, and the fact that these bonds were oversubscribed to the tune of $3 billion. And that tells us that there is a real appetite to provide support for increasing the flow of climate finance projects to low and middle income countries and particular Africa. Green entrepreneurship is central to the future of the continent. The continent has vast resources that will drive the global green energy revolution, so the opportunity exists to transform from just tackling climate change as an issue to embracing the potential that it has in terms of economic transformation, particularly where it relates to job creation. The green entrepreneurship revolution creates opportunities for innovation-driven economic growth. It's in industries such as renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, waste management, and eco-tourism, which are emerging as vital sectors for job creation. It also has the potential to catalyze innovation and local solutions, particularly where it tackles some of Africa's unique challenges. And what we believe is that by leveraging indigenous knowledge and emerging technologies, entrepreneurs can develop products and services that are culturally relevant, cost-effective, and environmentally friendly and sustainable. Some of the examples are really in the approaches to waste management. Some of the examples coming in through the Africa Green Economy Summit includes biodegradable packaging businesses that are addressing plastic waste, as well as clean cooking technology startups reducing reliance on firewood. So I'm very pleased by the fact that the African Green Economy Summit taking place next month between 19th and 24th of February is already emerging as a platform not only to attract entrepreneurs who are looking to bring in innovative solutions to some of the quintessential challenges that the continent faces, but also matching that energy and ambition with finance providers who are keen to start supporting these projects and businesses. So green entrepreneurship is key, and Aegis is a fantastic platform for turbocharging that drive towards transforming the climate emergency into a real opportunity for Africa, sitting at the pinnacle of the green economy revolution. Main obstacles. Well, the main obstacles are, are no different from some of the things that we've looked at in our study. The biggest is the limited access to financing, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that most of the entrepreneurship activity is done at the small and medium-sized level, and a lot of times this sector gets crowded out of the big ticket funding platforms. So real partnership is required with government institutions, multilateral development partners, climate finance providers, to ensure that the high perceived risks of the sector and the capacities of these entrepreneurs are bridged in such a way that their real potential is unleashed. Another element is the policy and regulatory frameworks that actually, if you like, even the balance between new green industrial solutions and the existing fossil fuel solutions that for all intents and purposes, are better placed, particularly because of their historic predominance. And here we're looking at clear incentives that promotes green businesses, the removal of regulatory bottlenecks in terms of complex and inconsistent regulations that make it difficult for startups to scale and to develop, and also even where there are environmental laws, and I'm thinking particularly in the waste management side of things, ensuring that the enforcement is in place to incentivize the right sort of behaviors and transition to more green and sustainable factors. There's a skills and knowledge gap that entrepreneurs need support with, and this is where other parts of the ecosystem and key stakeholders like governments and DFIs can come into it. We also need to tackle the issue of fragmented ecosystems, particularly for new technologies, where we make sure that collaboration is enhanced, just because of the real potential of these sectors and these new and these new technologies. When we think about current investment opportunities are everywhere you look across the continent, but I think the key ones are in the energy sector. Renewable energy solutions are at a point of cost and maturity that they are acceptable and convenient, and in some cases cheaper alternatives to their fossil fuel equivalents. Waste management, the idea of transforming waste to energy and to capital now is no longer an ambition. It's really an opportunity whose time has come. Sustainable agriculture is also quite big. So everywhere you look, there are these opportunities, and one thing that I haven't mentioned is transport. There are a number of projects now where the idea of electrifying, mass transit systems is beginning to take off across the continent. The availability or the scaling of existing charging infrastructure makes the idea of electrifying whole fleets a real possibility now. And again, the cost dynamic is beginning to tilt in favor of electric vehicles. So now is a time to invest not just in fleets, but also in the EV charging infrastructure across the continent. I'm really delighted to be back this year on the advisory board of the Africa Green Economy Summit. It is the place where capital meets opportunity, and it tackles the real question that holders of capital have, which is, where are the projects? So we have a pipeline of over $1 billion or over $1 billion pipeline of projects across multiple sectors, making it to Aegis this year. And last year we saw the magic that comes when project sponsors are in the room with finance providers, whether they're DFIs, whether they're climate finance providers, and that sort of conversation around how do we take this project idea, which has already been screened and seen as promising, how do we take this idea to a point where term sheets can be provided, negotiations can be had, and the race to financial close can be done in a structured and accelerated way. I'm really excited about the progress that we've made this year. AP3 has been working with colleagues in Aegis to structure preparatory sessions with project sponsors. We have meetings lined up over the course of the next week with our investor panels, just so that a lot of the upfront work is completed or progressed to a stage when investors are meeting with our project sponsors. They're meeting to discuss things that are critical to moving the conversation forward from just identifying their projects to seeing how we can get term sheets agreed and the process of racing to financial close initiated. So it's been a really exciting couple of weeks, and we look forward to all that we're going to achieve as we lead up to the summit days from the 19th to the 21st of February, which is just 3 to 4 weeks away. My expectations, deals. My expectations are, we take all the learnings that we had from last year in terms of how to make sure that a lot of upfront work is done, providing our investor panel with full visibility of the pipeline ahead of the sessions, and preparing our project sponsors to ensure that all the information that they need to be able to progress the conversation from concept to identifying the conditions precedent for accessing the funding that's available. So I'm expecting that we will be able to move a lot faster this year because of all the upfront work that has been done in terms of matching investor interest to the project sponsor, to the projects that we've identified this year in our pipeline. Aegis is critical. Aegis is where we stop talking and start taking action to matching capital, green capital, blue capital to existing projects. It's one of those events in the Africa finance calendar that is anticipated, and as we progress, drawing on the lessons learned from last year, look forward to the announcements that will continue to establish Ages' place as one of the key events in the African finance landscape calendar each year. Yeah, I think there are still, we are 3 to 4 weeks away from the African Green Economy Summit. And if for whatever reason you're still not registered, this is the time to do so. We have an investor panel of over 40 countries that are 40 finance partners that are already signed up to be part of it. We have a long list of project sponsors, but this is the place to be. If you have projects that you are close to or still thinking about how to raise funding for, that are real solutions from a climate perspective, from a blue economy perspective, the Africa Green Economy Summit is really where you need to be. And I look forward to engaging with project sponsors ahead of the summit, during the summit, and following the summit, with the one mission of making sure that we can match your projects to the investment appetite of our investor panels, and we can start bridging that gap between identifying viable projects and matching them with the available capital that's already in the on the continent, looking for viable projects to finance.